YouTubing and writing are two very different types of content creation, but in my opinion, they actually have quite a few things in common. If you've ever heard me talk about why I started YouTubing, you'll know that I've been writing for a lot longer than I've been video creating and posting on YouTube. But the reason I started YouTubing actually has a lot to do with my writing, which I've talked about before. I'll link you up here to a video where I talk about it a little bit more in detail. But basically the reason why I wanted to do YouTube and why I wanted to create on this platform had a lot to do with the fact that I was a writer and I liked to create in that way. I like to write novels. Short stories, sure, poetry, not really, I'm terrible at it, but novels, that I love. For me, when I think about it, it makes a lot of sense, and that's because it's in my head and it actually makes sense to me. But the more I think about it, the more I realize if you personally are not both a YouTuber and a novel writer, you might not actually see where they sort of overlap and how they do. How exactly is it the same to put a camera in front of you, to sit in front of it, all made up usually, and talk about things with my voice and my face and talk to you like this? How is that the same as sitting behind my computer, normally not made up, with glasses and no makeup and my hair all crazy in my sweatpants? Although, in fairness, I'm wearing sweatpants here too. But definitely not presentable, sitting behind my computer and typing away and creating a story with words and not with my voice and my face. How exactly is that the same thing? Okay, so it's not the same thing. I will just, throw that out there in case that wasn't already obvious, but they definitely do have things in common. So in my opinion, here are 4 reasons why I see connections between content creating on YouTube and writing. And of course, this can be applied to all different types of writing. If you're a poetry writer or a short story writer or a playwright or whatever you are, you might be able to see these connections as well. We'll start off really basic. One thing that they have in common is that it is content creation. They're very different types of content. They're very different in presentation. They're very different in how I prepare. For my writing, I plot everything out. I'm very detail oriented. For my videos, I usually just do a couple bullet points to sort of keep the video on track and then just talk. But at the end of the day, I think a lot of creative people, regardless of what creative outlet you have and what you like to do, we have this desire to create. No matter what ideas we have or the reasons we have to create or what genres we like to create and the types of things we like to create, we want to create. I just said that word a lot of times. I will try not to use it for the rest of this video. Not making promises though. You know what I mean though. We have tons of ideas in our head and we need outlets. Sometimes it's one outlet, but other times it's multiple different outlets. We're crafting something based on a little tiny speck, a little grain of rice that we have in our head of an idea, and we just take it out to the max and we make it a fully fledged project. 5 minutes of a YouTube video, sometimes 10 or 15, or an entire novel. It's just craft and creation, and that process in and of itself is what draws people like me to this kind of thing. Next, you've got connection. So for me personally, I've never published any of my novels. Maybe I should knock on wood. I don't know if that's an appropriate time to knock on wood, but hoping to publish at some point. But I haven't still, so I haven't actually gotten to share very much of my novel writing, other than a few people, getting to read little bits of my draft and stuff like that. I have written short stories and stuff that I've had critiqued in classes and stuff, but I don't really consider that as precious as my writing or as my YouTube, which is something that I'm very passionate about. But I really want to have that connection with people through my novels, and I think a lot of novel writers do, and writers in general. I'm sorry, I don't mean to leave out all the other types of writers, but writers generally want to share that with somebody and want to have a connection with people. That's why I want to get published. I don't want to see my name in lights and stuff like that. Not that that's ever even probably gonna happen. That's not even a goal though. All I want is for people to read my stuff and to like it and to make a connection with it and to have some sort of response to it. That's what I want. Preferably a positive response, of course. With YouTube, I do get to have those connections right now, every video, and I have an amazing group of people following me. I cannot thank you guys enough. And every video I post, I get cool comments, I get likes to show me that you're liking my content and you're engaging with it, and I do get that connection, and I get to share my creations with people. And I think that's ultimately what drives a lot of creative people as well. We want to craft something, we want to take that little idea and make it into a fully fledged project, but then we want to actually share that with people too. Another kind of strange thing they have in common is criticism. So again, I haven't actually published any of my novels yet, so I have yet to enter into the glorious review reading stage where you get criticized for your work, but I have had workshops and stuff with past things that I've written. I've been criticized plenty on my writing, whether it's something, a very special project or whether it's just something I wrote for class. It's still mine, and I've been criticized for it. And of course with YouTube, You guys all know, YouTube comments can be a very interesting place. I've had my fair share of trolls. I've had my fair share of haters. Thankfully, most of my subscribers are amazing people who only follow me for like logical reasons, like that you like my content. But I still do get trolls, and I still do get people wasting their time giving me, you know, criticism over nothing, or sometimes criticism over something. And I think it's the criticism over something that means more. Both types, of course, though, you're gonna get with any type of creative work that you put out there for people to read or to watch or to consume in any way. So I think that getting the criticism from both of these, or only one of them, preparing you for the other, like it is in my case, is, yeah, it's definitely something it has in common. I definitely think it's made my skin thicker. I think I've always been decent at taking criticism that was merited, although that's not something that, you know, is easy for any of us, especially people who are very tied to their projects. But I think I was always at least decent at taking criticism, but I've gotten so much better, and I've definitely gotten better at taking like hate and trolling, which was something I was not at all prepared for before YouTube. Now, after everything I've gotten though in comments, I think I'm about ready for anything. Of course, one other thing that they both have in common is inspiration and the motivation to keep creating. When I'm writing and when I'm actually putting in words into my novel and finishing chapters and finishing drafts, which I did just recently, it's so inspiring to keep going. And every time I look at my word count and I see what I've written that day and I see what I've written that week and that month and everything, just the whole work, it's so inspirational, and it just keeps me pushing on and on and on until I finish. It's the only reason I was able to finish my draft. It's the only thing that's making me super pumped to start revisions. In the same way, every time I post a YouTube video and I get comments back on it, and when I watch other content, just like when I read other books, it's so inspirational to keep going. Writing even inspired me to want to create on YouTube, and so much of what I'm creating for YouTube or consuming on YouTube has made me want to write and to keep creating in that way. And I think it just feeds off of each other. Honestly, without both of these, I'm not sure how far I would have come on either one of them, because they need each other, I think. I think that's probably kind of a nice place to wrap up this video too. Those are basically kind of the biggest things that I see they have in common. But if you are a writer, a YouTuber, both, you do some other creative type of activity, if you have any thoughts on this topic in general, please leave them in the comments below. I would love to know your opinions. Honestly, I don't know why I haven't talked about this before. It's been something that's sort of been in the back of my mind, but I guess I just took it for granted that it sort of made sense to everybody when in fact it probably doesn't. Hopefully does now, but I will leave that for you guys to decide. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will talk to you guys soon.